Welcome to Gulf Coast Financial with John Kuykendall, the CEO and founder of Gulf Coast Financial Services. This program is designed to assist you in bettering your retirement experience through expert and caring financial support. John has degrees from the University of Florida, Louisiana State University, and the Advanced Management Program at Harvard University. He spent 20 years in banking before establishing Gulf Coast Financial Services. John is a certified Kingdom advisor, serving clients with biblical principles and worldviews, and is an active member of the National Association of Christian Financial Consultants. John is also a member of many local charity boards. And now, John Kuykendall presents Gulf Coast Financial.
And welcome into the program. This is Gulf Coast Financial, brought to you by the team at Gulf Coast Financial Services, your resource for a common sense approach to planning for your financial future. Founder and CEO with us, as always, John Kuykendall. John, welcome into the program.
Thank you, Peter. It's great to be here today. I hope everything's going well for you.
And you. It is for me. Thank you very much. And I hope the same for you. It's good to see you here, John. Meeting over Zoom technology, something that we've all had to kind of become accustomed to here recently.
With this new norm, this is something that we've all gotten used to and something that we're doing with our clients. And it's really opened up a lot of doors for us. And, as we get back to the new norm, Florida opened up a little bit Monday. And so the restaurants are on limited occupancy. And so we're starting to see a little bit more activity, but, people are really getting used to kind of things different.
Yeah. And I think in some ways, this actually makes things a little easier in some form or fashion, but, it's definitely different than what we have been used to before now. And I know, not everybody is doing the same thing with technology that you are. It's been harder to conduct business, obviously, with everything shut down and people with the stay-at-home orders. But things at Gulf Coast Financial have been progressing, have been moving along. You have been holding your client reviews, even helping people that had questions or concerns address those, doing the complimentary financial analysis and the retirement reviews and strategy sessions. So although the media has changed, it's not the shaking the hand face-to-face. It's over the wonders of technology. The process has still been the same and still able to help people get their questions answered.
Oh, sure. It's still the same process, Peter, and it's still the same working with someone, whether we're face-to-face or whether we're face-to-face with them on the computer. We want to give them that personal touch and make sure that every question that they have is answered and they feel comfortable either over the phone or over the computer or on limited basis is now face-to-face as Florida begins to open up a little bit to being a little less regulated with this virus. It's been a hard time for everybody, but it's kind of like anything. I think that this has forced us to probably do things 20 years quicker than we would have been. 20 years from now, we wouldn't meet each other in the office. We'd meet each other on the computer or pick up the sack phone and talk to each other over the video phone. It's just like, I have my Dick Tracy watch and now I can talk to people and see people on my watch. And we used to think when I was growing up that was really something that we would never see that was so far-fetched. But here it is.
Yeah.
And
the flying cars haven't gotten here yet.
Well, they're probably close. I've seen a couple on the highway that were almost there.
Yeah. So. Well, I would like to just mention and remind ladies and gentlemen that if you've got questions or concerns, just a phone call away. Gulf Coast Financial, been voted best of the best by the Lake City Reporter in financial services, Office of Convenience in Gainesville. So Lake City down to Gainesville, your resource. They are here to help you address your financial and retirement planning questions or concerns, or just identify strategies to be more efficient with your dollars. Pick up the phone, give a call, 386-755-9018, the number to call, 386-755-9018. And John, I love you send along kind of the topic of the day every time we connect and are going to record one of these podcast episodes and editions. And something that we certainly have been doing a lot of. I've had more time around the house to do the spring cleaning, but you wanted to liken that to our financial lives and encourage people, maybe it's time to do a little financial spring cleaning while we might still have some extra time on our hands.
Well, it's something we don't think about, Peter, while we're binge watching on Netflix, and I've just about seen everything there. And one of the things I found out was that that's really not free, because if you're not careful, you'll go over your data with your internet provider, and then it's going to cost you a lot more to binge watch. But certainly, now while we have time, and we're thinking about cleaning up and restarting, it's a good time to look at your financial position and figure out where you are, and figure out where we need to go for retirement. While our day-to-day lives have changed a little bit, the need for retirement hasn't changed, and the need for money during retirement hasn't changed. It's going to be greater, if anything, and we'll talk about that a little bit in the show on taxes. Certainly, everything's going to be more expensive going forward. We've already talked about at the office here this morning. Brent and I were talking over breakfast that people now are saying we're back at the restaurant, but it's going to cost more because products are going up. Cost of paper and all that's higher. The shortage of meat. So everything costs more, and we need to make sure that we're going to have enough money to retire and live the kind of retirement that we dream of, or we're going to be in trouble. And now's a great time to sit back and kind of take the broom and brush the cobwebs off of that financial plan if you have one. If you don't have one, we'd love to work one up for you. But to get back to thinking about the things that you need to do in order to be successful. And, one of the first ones that we always talk to somebody about when they come see us is their debt.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people right now are carrying a lot of debt. And a lot of people right now, because of their financial situation, a lot of people have not had income coming in for a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. A lot of people have been laid off. Unemployment has certainly been the benefits been slow getting here.
Yeah.
I haven't even gotten my stimulus check yet. So if I'm getting one, I don't know whether I'm getting one or not, maybe not. But things are hard on people. And so we incur debt, but then we've got to figure out a way how we're going to get out of debt. Interest is the one thing, while it's the eighth wonder of the world in compounding interest, it's the worst thing in the world when you got it compounding your debt.
Yeah. Yeah. It can work for you if you're a saver, or against you if you are in debt, and continue to build upon itself. And so you're right. I think a lot of people, obviously we already had kind of a predilection to spend and to overspend our income. But right now, with everything that's gone on, it was more of a necessity than anything. A lot of people had to incur debt during this. So you've always helped people address that and clean up the debt. And I don't think that's going to change there at Gulf Coast Financial. It's kind of the first item on the list is, where are the debts, and how do we help to address and handle those?
It is, Peter. I think back to the client that we had. We've been open 28 years now. In fact, April was our 28th anniversary. It was a heck of a way to celebrate our anniversary, but we did locally, just the office. But I think back to when we first started, maybe 4 or 5 years in, I had a school teacher who came to see me. She had so much debt, she couldn't make her monthly payments. She was behind, getting further behind. We helped her get out of debt, and then we started saving for her retirement. And then, believe it or not, an uncle died, and she ended up with $2.6 million in cash.
Okay.
Which was a great windfall for her. The thing was, whether she got that money or not, we had her on the road to recovery, and we had her on the path towards making her own retirement and being able to survive. The last thing we want to do is pay non-deductible interest that we can't write off our taxes. It's just not prudent. And like I said, with that compounding interest, your debt, you'll never get ahead of it. You got to put a plan in place to pay it off first. We even recommend, in some cases, not making contributions to 401ks, to defined benefit plans, until we can get you out of debt, and then we'll start catching up.
Yeah. Now that's kind of on a case by case. You help people decide which path they should pursue. What's the priority there?
Every plan's different. There's no one plan that meets the norm. There's no cookie cutter. Everybody's solution, they come say, how much do I need for retirement? I can't give you that number that you talk about on TV. What's your number?
Yeah.
I don't know. It depends on you. Some people take $2, $3, $4 million to retire. Some people can retire on $500,000. met with a couple yesterday that a couple of 100,000 in savings is all they need because they've got enough income coming in, defined income every month, that they'll be able to survive and meet the inflation in the future. And we'll take that 200,000 and grow it and make it a nest egg for them as they go forward.
Fantastic that you're able to help folks out like that. And again, if we're doing a financial spring cleaning, debt is certainly a great place to start cleaning our financial picture up. And if you need any help, give the team from Gulf Coast Financial Services a call, 386-755-9018. Not quite the same, but related, and you touched on this, John, is that taxes are another big area. Now, taxes happen because the country has to cover expenses, the state has to cover expenses, the local governments have to cover expenses. Well, we have printed or digitized into existence an additional at least $4 trillion during the course of the pandemic. And so at some point or another, I think that taxes have to be a big issue, and inflation. You mentioned that as well. These are the solution to the debt on a governmental level that is passed down to the people. And so we are going to have to handle this one way or another. A lot of people have saved for their retirement in a way that has kicked that bill down the road, deferring and delaying paying that tax debt. Now's the time to strategize on how to handle that question efficiently, right?
Oh, yeah, Peter. I think we've talked about this on this show many times about now we're the lowest tax bracket we'll probably ever have in history. I found some information out that David Walker, who was the U.S. Comptroller General in 1998 to 2008, he said that there's absolutely no question that taxes will have to go up. Well, in 2000, our total debt was 1.293 trillion. It's now over 1.3 trillion in 2020, but the national debt has gone from 13 million to over 13 trillion. To over 23 trillion.
Yep.
And the highest tax bracket in 2000 was 35. The highest tax bracket today is 37. So, and we're adding, as you said, another 4 billion to that national debt. The interest alone, as you can see, when we talked about interest on debt, the interest on that national debt is adding that up faster than we can pay it off.
Yeah.
We're running at a deficit every year. So eventually, how are we going to pay for this? We're going to have to pay for it by higher taxes, not in just one group, not just taxing the rich, but taxing everybody higher.
Everybody across the board. Yeah, I've heard, they talk about the 1%, the top wealth in the country, but even if you confiscated all of their wealth, it wouldn't really put a dent into that national debt. If you just took every penny that top 1% have. So you've got to pass that along to everybody in the population. John, during the crisis, we can choose to panic or we can choose to plan. I know there at Gulf Coast Financial Services, you choose the latter, you choose to plan. But right. I feel like during this crisis, during the pandemic, the market and the market volatility got all of the attention, where the real long-term opportunity to do some effective planning might be this question of taxes.
Oh, yeah, certainly, Peter. For one thing, right now, everybody over 70 and a half does not have to take an RMD this year. We have a lot of clients that really don't live on that RMD, but we have to take it and we have to pay the taxes on it. So since we don't have to do it this year, go ahead and do it, pay the taxes on it, put the money in a Roth IRA, let it grow tax deferred, put it into a life insurance policy, which is another way we can go forward. And once you start, you'll end up with tax-free income coming out down the road. A lot of ways to do that. There are some other things that we can do. We can take money out of our 401k and pay the taxes back in 3 years. So, there are things we can do to plan right now that we really need to do. This has just created some opportunities for us. If you're 70 and a half, you don't have to take the RMD till 72 anyway, because that started with the Secure Act, the first of the year. Right. So go ahead and start those payments early, and let's get that money put into something else. There are a lot of ways that we try to do long-term care. Certainly a lot of people in the United States, the majority, do not have long-term care protection. it's going to eat alive your retirement plan if we're not careful. I forgot what the statistics are, but if you're over 65, there's like a 75% chance you're going to be confined.
Yeah, I think it was 7 and 10, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're going to need that. We're going to need some money to help cover that, so our spouses or so that our estates, they don't get eaten alive. So when we come back out, we still have money.
Yeah.
I think that there are some opportunity right now with the way the situation is in the economy and with what's happening, that now's a great time. A lot of people are sitting in cash. Let's go ahead and make some changes. Let's make some plans. Let's do reallocation. If you're in cash, you're in cash for a reason. You evidently took all the pain you could get and you got out at the wrong time, or you were lucky enough, as some of us were, that got out in the beginning and you didn't feel that pain and you've been waiting to get back in slowly. Well, now's the time while we're sitting there in that cash to let's sit down and look at what we can do with it, how we can make it secure, find out what your risk number is, and then move forward.
Yeah. Well, again, if you need any help, 386-755-9018, the number to call, 386-755-9018. On your list of items to tackle during your financial spring cleaning, you list it as rebalancing, but really reallocating those funds might be part of that. And I know rebalancing as well, similar, but there is a difference, and especially with those retirement accounts, because John, we treat them out of sight, out of mind. We sort of ignore those old 401ks that we've been contributing to for years and years, but rebalancing can make a measurable difference in our results. And so good to pay attention and do that on a regular periodic basis.
Oh yeah, Peter. And that's another thing you talked about, different 401ks and having. Why do we have all these accounts? Why not consolidate them, pare them down and only have one or two? It's like having 14 checking accounts and trying to balance them. You can't do it.
So question there, John. We hear a lot about diversification, right? And how important diversification is. Because we have, let's call it, maybe, a young person who's changed jobs several times, 5 different 401ks out there that we've left behind, and we consolidate them, bring them together into one IRA. That does not prevent us from diversifying within that account, correct?
Oh, sure. What happens is we actually end up with better diversification, because when we've got all those accounts out there and we're not looking at them, 9 times out of 10, you're in the same investments. You just don't really realize it. And so when you bring it together and look at one pile, you can take the pot and divide it up and make sure that you are allocated properly. Whereas when you've got all these piles out here in pots you're looking at, you don't get to stir them all at one time.
Yep.
And that's what happens is, the S&P 500, the top 20 stocks make up 80% of the S&P 500. So if you're in the S&P 500, you say, well, I got 500 stocks. No, you got 20 stocks that make up 80% of it. So you need to diversify further than that. And so that's why we need to consolidate. Not only that, but to cut down fees, look at cost. But the main thing is open the darn statements and see what you got.
Just easier to track and pay attention to when it's not multiplied with stacks of paperwork on your desk that you've got to go through. Yeah.
It's not like the person that's told me the other day, Peter, and I was talking to him, and I said, well, what happened in your 401? He says, I don't know. I just threw the statement in the drawer. Well, how do I know what I've got, and what do I,
another critical financial spring cleaning, open your mail, open those statements. Let's pay attention to these things. Probably something you would encourage people to do, pretty critically important there. So consolidating, rebalancing, those are important. And then reviewing performance, because if we have not opened those statements, looking at how they've done and what's happened is another thing that's going to prove beneficial, even if upon doing so, the news is not so good at first. At least we understand that and then can take action and do something about it, right, John?
Oh, sure. That's right. The mutual fund or the stock that's number one this year is not going to be number one next year. And so what you need to do is look at the performance, figure out where they are, what they're made up for. Funds go stale. Funds get too large. They get too heavy for people to manage them. It's kind of like moving Warren Buffett. It takes a lot to move that ship because he can make a market very quickly by buying or selling stock. And so mutual funds can do that. So we need to look and see where they are, what their performance is, what their ratings are, and we need to do that continuously. And then we need to allocate based upon our risk tolerance.
Well, I think this last one on your list here, probably the biggest one that you help people with there at Gulf Coast Financial Services, which is planning ahead. I mean, it is, in fact, called planning, financial planning, retirement planning. It's not reacting. It is having a plan in place to help us accomplish our goals moving forward into the future. Having a blueprint when you build a house, having a roadmap when you take a trip, having a plan when you want to move forward in your financial life and make progress. John, you help people put those together, or if they've already had one or have at least the outline of one, really bringing those together and making sure they're on the right track.
Yeah, Margot, our marketing director, she called me this morning and said, hey, when we get back to normal, which whatever that is, what's our direction? What are we really going to be trying to market for the rest of the year? Mm-hmm. And I told her our message hasn't really changed. We're talking about retirement planning. I don't care whether you're 30, 40, 50, or 60, 70, 80. It's retirement planning. We want to look, and that'll take care of life insurance, annuities, investments, all the things, components, long-term care, taxes. We want to look at the whole pile. I can't separate it and say, okay, we're going to focus on getting assets. We're not going to do that. We're focusing on retirement planning for our clients and for our prospects. That's where we're headed. That's what we do.
Yeah. Well, seeing the positive in the negative, John, through this pandemic, through this crisis, I think people are recognizing the need for qualified professional assistance and advice and guidance from somebody like yourself, from those like your team there at Gulf Coast Financial Services that have seen these situations and help people put together those plans to move them forward and to give them progress. And I think that recognition is the positive in all of this, that we know that you and your team provide that assistance where it's needed. And now people are recognizing that it is needed. Just like spring cleaning, we had the time to tackle some projects around the house on that to-do list. Maybe we need to think about our financial life and tackle some of those to-do items as well.
Well, those are more important than the house cleaning, the spring cleaning. That financial life is something that's going to be with us the rest of our lives. And we need to really do that so that we can live the kind of retirement lives that we want to live. I think it's great. Somebody asked me the other day, he said, I don't know how you stand it. What are your clients saying? How do you put up with the phone calls and the angry people? I can honestly say this, that we have not had one phone call to our office asking us what about the market, what's happening to the market, or what we're going to do. All the calls that we've had have called to ask us how we're doing. Are we safe? We've called them and asked them that. And we're calling to talk about plans. Okay, now that this has happened, what do I do? And then we're working them through it, meeting with a client right after this, where we're going to do that again. Meet with them, go through their process, figure out where they are, show them some things that we can do now because of the Secure Act and because of the SAFE Act. And let's make sure that we do as much as we can to reduce taxes in the future.
Well, let's be proactive. Let's identify those opportunities where we can be more efficient, where we can leverage our dollars. Where they are not being efficient, let's change that. Let's address that. Let's consolidate. Let's get into better position to move forward. Let's review that performance and plan ahead, ladies and gentlemen. Now is the time. Now is the opportunity. We talked a little bit about the market performance getting a lot of the attention, maybe taxes being that big opportunity. Gulf Coast Financial Services and their sister company, Gulf Coast Tax Advantage, can take a proactive look from both the financial and investment perspective and the tax planning perspective to help you get ahead. And now maybe the best opportunity. They make one great offer here on the program, and that is for you to sit down with a team of qualified professionals to take a look at your planning and your financial situation, make sure that you are on the path to make that progress. Pick up the phone if you'd like to take advantage. They'll look at all aspects of your financial life and make sure that you are making well thought through and informed decisions. 386-755-9018, the number to call, 386-755-9018, 386-755-9018. John, we always appreciate your guidance, your perspective here on the program. Thanks for reminding us to do that financial spring cleaning.
Great. It's good to be here. I hope everybody gets busy and gets those brooms going and gets that financial plan worked out. Peter, you stay safe, and we'll see what the new norm is in a couple of months.
You as well. Good seeing you, John.
Good seeing you. Thanks.
They're looking forward to hearing from you, seeing you there at Gulf Coast Financial, folks. Pick up the phone, give them a call, 386-755-9018, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only, without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for a particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature and not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs. Early withdrawals may subject the owner to penalties, fees, or taxes. John Kuykendall is registered with and securities are offered through Kovac Securities Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Kovac Securities, found online at www.kovac. Advisory services are offered through Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc., a registered investment advisor in Florida. Gulf Coast Financial Services Inc. is not affiliated with Kovac Securities Inc. or Kovac Advisors Inc.